Well, it's been a while, and I'll let you know what I've been up to while I open up these shipments from CGC. Hey there, today I have a CGC unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up two shipments from CGC. Call it a mega super catch-up unboxing, but I wanted to let you know what I've been up to recently. I've taken some time off, I've been in between jobs, and decided to follow a passion project of mine, and it was all based off of an idea that I had and a concept that I was rolling with on Instagram for several years, but had since abandoned. I don't think I posted on Instagram on my Moneyball Comics account anyway for about a year, and I decided to think about that project again and kind of what I was doing and how those Instagram posts really were a representation of what I was doing every day when I was searching for comics to buy that had upside when I would get them graded, and just a way to combine a lot of different collecting strategies, not just like I'm going to find this book for cheap in a dollar bin and flip it for $100, but it was a lot of the thinking behind it of finding it for a really good price online, but focusing on high condition, high grade comics that had upside. And what I would do is I would post these on Instagram every day. And I think the secret that not a lot of people really understood was that when I was posting, the book was available. And when I would kind of put a price on it and say, this is your target price that you should look to pick up the comic book at, it was online. And if you watch these videos and kind of see where I pick up raw books from, if you kind of put two and two together, then it should be really obvious and easy as far as like where you can find these comics. Now, I decided to take a break from Instagram, but I still incorporated that style and that methodology into my collecting habits. And in these two unboxings, you will see some of the spoils of that research and the work that I did to find these comics. Anyway, now caught up, what I decided to do is build my own mobile app. I've never done this before, and I've learned a lot, and so it's not quite ready for production. There is an Android version that is out there if you want to check it out. The name of it is Comic Tricks. It is supposed to be Comic Book Metrics, kind of mashed into one name. On Android, soon to be available on Apple. I am struggling with iOS development. As I said, I've never done this before, but essentially the app will be your comic book collecting companion. That's really what it is. So you'll be able to see what I am saying would be a good value pickup, meaning it's available online right now. It has a low buy-in and a lot of upside, and then you can kind of configure the app in terms of, do you work with a third-party presser? Do you press your own books? Are you not interested in pressing? And then you can kind of see whether or not the pickup is worth your while. And there's like a risk assessment. Essentially, a lot of how I collect built into an app. And I'm really excited about finishing the app, but it isn't quite ready for full launch yet. So you're getting a little bit of a verbal preview of what the app will be, but it is essentially what I do as a comic book collector, how I collect, how I think about data and analytics and value, and trying to, as a true comic book collector, trying to find books as inexpensive as possible, but also recognizing comic books that are worth picking up, that will add value to your collection, even if you keep them raw. Now, I have a lot of slabs to go through, so I'll touch on Comic Tricks another time, but if you want to follow app's Instagram account, I am at Comic Tricks there, and I'll post kind of like preview of the daily picks or the value selections that would be available in the app, just because I know the demand for the iOS version is out there and I have to get the app finished and get it out in the marketplace. There will be a subscription component, so I'm trying to keep it very affordable, around like $1.99 a month subscription, $20 a year kind of thing, just because while I think there's some very fun and interesting features into the app as it stands today, I want to keep building on this platform and really make it a more of a comprehensive collecting companion and collecting tool for comic book fans and collectors. And it's going to take me some time to get there, but I have a lot of the foundational work done. I'm still working on it. I do have a new job, thankfully, so I'm really excited to get started with that after a little bit of a strange 2 or 3 months. You can always hit me up if you have any personal questions. I'm happy to interact with you on social media, email, things like that. I'd rather stick to the comics in this one, but I am really excited about the app and will do a proper demo and walkthrough of the app when the time is right. Now, the right time, the right place is right here, and what we're going to do is open up these 2 shipments that I got back from CGC. What I will say is both of these went through Palm Beach Presser. He's amazing. I've talked about him so many times. Ron, the Palm Beach Presser, a really great guy. He does tremendous work, and most importantly, I trust him with my comics. And it's taken me really years to find somebody that I really enjoy working with and get along with and have that trust. And so these 2 shipments are unique in their own way, different from each other. Ron, if you're watching this, this is the Signature Series box right here where John Romita Jr. signed some books. I feel like I sent these to you almost a year ago, but these I got back maybe about a month or 2 ago, and I've been kind of holding on to them for this recording. And then I have a 15 slab, I would say more of the standard submission of books that I would send to Ron that he would forward to CGC on my behalf. But there's some really nice big books in here, big books for me. And spoiler alert, I got an extra charge from CGC where they said that a particular book moved up into a different tier. This has happened to me 2 or 3 times, I think. So super rare in the 5 years that I've been doing this to have a comic book move up into a new value tier. Now, not going to give you commentary on whether that's right or CGC is justified in that charge. What it means to me is there's a book in here that I acquired, sent to Ron at Palm Beach Presser. He sent to CGC and it ended up getting a significant improvement. So I'm really excited to reveal that book. I have not looked at any other results. I don't know the grades of any of these. I don't actually know the grade of the one book that got charged. I only know the line item, so I know the book itself, but I don't know. I assume it got a 9.8, but when we get there, we get there. All right, that was a decent setup. Let's get to the comics. I'm going to try and go through these quickly because it is a lot of slabs, and I know your time is valuable, but I'm really happy to be back. I've been through a lot the last few months, and I realized today that I'm feeling pretty good, and I feel like I'm in the mood to do some unboxing and go through some of my collection and talk comics. And it's been a while since I've had that feeling, and really just generally happy to be back here with you to go through these slabs and show you the kind of books that I pick up and send off to Palm Beach Presser for pressing and off to CGC for grading. So we're going to start with the Signature Series box. I'm going to unpack it, and I'll show you which books I sent in for the John Romita Jr. CGC Signature Series signing event. And then after that, we'll go through the standard Blue Label CGC submission. Okay, let's do it. These are the Signature Series books. Again, I don't know the grades. Let's go upside down with these. So you'll see the grade revealed momentarily. I think my only regret with the Signature Series submission is I had an Iron Man 150 that was a 9.6. I should have sent that in, and I didn't. I think that was the only John Romita Jr. book that I had that was like, boy, that would have really had a nice signature on it. Now this one, one of my all-time favorites. This is Uncanny X-Men 207 from 1986. And I remember tracing this book like crazy when I was younger. I think this might have been one of the first X-Men books that I just went crazy over. I couldn't believe it. Wolverine kind of slicing the page. And I've collected this one over the years trying to find a high-grade copy to replace my original copy. that was really beat up and had kind of like the indented pencil tracing lines on the cover. I have maybe a half dozen of those that I traced, and that was one of them. So I'm really hoping this gets a 9.8 because it is one of my all-time favorites. And this is Uncanny X-Men 207 from 1986, getting a 9.8 white pages, and John Romita Jr. signing down here underneath Wolverine in the blue, so you could see his signature there, nice and clear, beautiful, gorgeous. Honestly, there's a lot of Amazing Spider-Man in the Signature Series submission, but this was the gem. This is a personal grail of mine. X-Men 207 in a 9.8 white pages, signed by John Romita Jr. Chris Claremont goes to CGC pretty often to participate in his own events, and I might send this one back in to get Claremont on it as well, just because I wanted to make sure I had a 9.8 copy before I do anything crazy. So what a way to start. Thrilled with that one. Next is Daredevil 270. This one had a little bit of buzz just because this is the first appearance of Blackheart. There was a lot of rumors around that character showing up in different MCU properties and things like that, particularly when Mephisto was rumored, and then he didn't show up, and it's like, well, maybe it's Blackheart, and Blackheart appeared in Daredevil. John Romita Jr. had a really nice run on Daredevil. It was right around the time I was reading Daredevil as well, so I think of him as an X-Men artist and Daredevil artist primarily, although he's done a ton of stuff. Amazing Spider-Man as well is probably the top three for me in terms of his artwork. So let's take a look at this one and see. Daredevil 270 from 1989, also getting a 9.8. And I'm trying to see where he signed, because he signed in black ink, but right here on Blackheart's arm is where he signed. But this one looks gorgeous with the yellow label and the yellow background there. So a 9.8 on Daredevil 270. Fantastic. All right, so one thing I forgot to do is tell you what my grade was before and then what Ron's estimate was. So real quick, just to catch up, X-Men 207, that one I had estimated a 9.4 before I sent it to Palm Beach Presser. No grader notes on that one. 9.8 probable was his grade, so that one hit. And then Daredevil 270, I thought it was a 9.6. I thought it was a really strong high-grade copy. Palm Beach noted fibers at spine corners visible on back, and he gave it a 9.6 tilde. So I think that was both of us saying the book is around a 9.6. It's possible, but not the word possible. Just a rough estimate, 9.6. It got the 9.8 on that one. So I'll tell you what my grade was and then what Ron estimated the grade after he worked on the book. All right, let's grab another. And this one is Iron Man 154. So I did get an Iron Man book in the submission just 4 issues later from that epic 149-150, where Romita Jr. and Bob Layton collaborated on those issues. This is from 1982. I had estimated this as an 8.0, but I thought it had a lot of potential, obviously, because I sent it through the process. And Palm Beach Presser noted light rounding of bottom spine corner, small crease line at back bottom left corner, 9.6/9.4, and Iron Man 154 got a 9.4. I have always loved this cover. This was one that I think I remember seeing from the Marvel Universe, the Marvel Handbook, the guide, where it went through all of the different characters, and I think this was the image used for the unicorn. So I wanted to send it in. I knew it was a long shot going up from an 8, but this was one that I wanted to send in just for personal reasons, because for whatever reason that image of the unicorn and Iron Man, it always kind of stuck with me. But really fantastic grade bump. If I had assessed that as an 8.0 and got all the way up to 9.4, that's really nice. So great work on that one, Palm Beach Presser. Next is Amazing Spider-Man 250. This is from 1984. Really lovely cover here with Spider-Man and Hobgoblin. Also another yellow background color comic. I don't do this on purpose to try and match the label, but I do think that the yellow label with yellow on the cover just adds an additional element of attractiveness to the book. Amazing Spider-Man 250, I thought it was a 9.4. Palm Beach Presser noted wear at spine corners, especially at the back bottom. 9.6 tilde. Now, Daredevil 270 got a 9.6 tilde. Let's see if this one turned out. Amazing Spider-Man 250, yeah, got a 9.8. Fantastic work, Ron. Really appreciate that. This looks gorgeous. Klaus Janson on inks on this one, helping out Romita Jr. on the cover. ASM 250 from 1984, getting a 9.8. A multi-year run of Amazing Spider-Man featuring the Hobgoblin in so many stories, so it's really nice to get that one slabbed in a 9.8, signed by John Romita Jr. Next is Amazing Spider-Man 245 from 1983. As I mentioned, Uncanny X-Men, Daredevil, Amazing Spider-Man, a little bit of Iron Man in there. Those are the kind of the prime John Romita Jr. years for me as a collector. So I wanted to make sure I got these signed. ASM 245, I had it as a 9.4. Palm Beach, he noted light softness of corners, especially on the top right. 9.8 possible. And he was right, it was possible. It got the 9.8. Really, really nice. Again, the theme with the Hobgoblin, the yellow mask, the yellow character box here, the yellow label, fantastic, love it. And these two, 245, not a key or anything like that, so really it had to hit the 9.8, and it did, so really happy about that. And next up is Uncanny X-Men 193. Now this one's cool. It is the first appearance of Firestar, which I only knew Firestar from the cartoon Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Spider-Man, Firestar, and Iceman. And this is Firestar's first appearance in comics. And I guess like continuity as well. Maybe there was a special edition for My Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, but Firestar became associated with the X-Men in X-Men 193 from 1985. For this one, I had this as a 9.4. I held on to this for a long time. Palm Beach Presser did not provide any grader notes. He said 9.8 possible, and let's see if it got it, and it did. Really, really nicely done. John Romita Jr. here signed on Wolverine's leg. So interesting signature placement. There's so much going on this cover. I think it was either there or on Warpath's crotch is probably the two spots, so I appreciate him choosing the leg on that. So really cool. And yeah, it's not noted on the label. It says first appearance of Warpath in costume. Rachel Summers joins the X-Men. So no mention of Firestar, but for me, that's the Firestar first appearance. And then the next two, I think they're the same, so I'm not going to be able to tell them apart in terms of which one had what notes. So let's just show both of them. I have Uncanny X-Men number 184. This is the first appearance of Forge. Forge is probably a secondary X-Men character, but was very much a very important player. Had a relationship with Storm. They had the life-death storyline where it involved both of them. So he's always been kind of there in the background for decades, and this is his first appearance. And I was picking these up, I think, from Mile High Comics like crazy. It was almost like there was probably about 10 books that I could always pick up there around the same price, and I would just always add one to the order. So what I ended up doing was taking my two best copies, or at least that I thought, and I sent them in. So I'm not going to be able to tell them apart, so I'll just show you the grades of these one at a time. The first one, Uncanny X-Men 184 from 1984. Let's just say this was the 9.4. I estimated one 9.4 and the other 9.6. And Palm Beach basically noted a grade bump for each. The 9.4, he said color loss at spine corners, very small crease line at bottom right corner, 9.6 minus. Then the other one, small bindery tear at the bottom spine corner, 9.8 minus. So here's the first one, and it got a 9.2. Oh man, that's rough. Okay, so this is the direct. It looks like I sent a direct in a newsstand. The direct edition got a 9.2, so that's tough. Disappointing on that one, but I can see some of the rounding corners on the back. That's unfortunate. I think I see down here on the right, there's a little bit of a dog ear as well that broke some color. And when CGC sees that, they go to town on the grade. So 9.2 probably justified with some of the defects there. This, however, is the newsstand copy, right? I mean, it's got that barcode down there, so that means it's newsstand. Again, from 1984. And let's see what grade this got, 9.6. Makes sense in terms of the grader notes that Palm Beach Presser provided. Was hoping one of these got a 9.8, obviously, but still 9.6 for the newsstand copy is really nice. And all of these books were signed by John Romita Jr. on June 9th, 2025. So thank you, John Romita Jr., for taking the time to sign. Thank you, CGC, for facilitating the Signature Series event. So I'm going to put these aside, and let's get to the larger 15-book submission Blue Label unboxing. Okay, let's get into it. This is the 15-book Blue Label submission. I'm going to open this so I can only see the back cover. And when I get to that one specific line item book, I'll let you know. And then we'll hopefully reveal a nice grade on that, but we'll get to it when we get to it. The first book that we're going to start with here is Sandman #1. I have, I think, fallen out of love with Sandman, and I had talked about my goals of like having a complete Sandman collection and started to get a lot of them grading. I finally got the first appearance of Death, and I sent that one in, and I got, I think it was a 9.2 or a 9.4 on that one, and decided to part ways with it. And I had this copy of Sandman #1 that I wanted to get graded. I'm not sure what I want to do with my Sandman collection, but I'm still holding on to some of the books, but there are books that I'm just starting to push out and move on from. Great story, very memorable in terms of the time that I read it, meeting the creator at the time, but things have changed, and I'm starting to kind of pare down my collection in certain ways, looking for opportunities, I should say, to pare down the collection. And I just figured this would be kind of a nice bookend to once and for all kind of end my Sandman collecting journey. This one I had picked up at auction, and I had assessed it when I got it back as a 9.4. I sent it to Palm Beach Presser. He noted light spine corner wear with small fibers, but he gave it a grade estimate of 9.8/9.6. So let's see, Sandman #1 from 1989, and it got a 9.8 white pages. Thank you, Ron. What a way to start here. This, to me, regardless of how you feel about the creator, the story, this was the start of Vertigo at DC. There's so many reasons why this book is important, so I probably will try and hold on to this one as much as possible, as long as I can. Sandman #1 getting a 9.8. Just a classic independent story. It's like I said, it's important, and that's why I'm so disappointed that I don't love it as much as I used to, just because this was one of the first, it might have been the first stories that I read. I'm like, do I love independent comics? I don't know. What's Vertigo about? And I really kind of changed my outlook, because I was a pure superhero comics reader pretty much up until the point where I got my hands on Sandman. Happy, thrilled to get a 9.8. From a collector perspective, I'm super, super happy to have that in my collection. Now I just need to decide if I want to go back and chase down the first appearance of Death in a 9.8 as well. But thrilled, really happy. Glad I picked that one up. Okay, the next one we have is Uncanny X-Men #161. This is from 1982. This I pick up frequently from Mile High Comics. It's a really easy book to find. This run of X-Men, it's plentiful. It's Claremont, yes, but you can find these all over the place. But trying to get a nice Claremont run in high grade, easy to find, large quantity, yes, but still want to get it in a 9.8, but it makes it easy and affordable for me to collect these. I had assessed this as a 9.4. Palm Beach Presser noted light spine corner wear, slight rounding of the top corner, 9.6 tilde, and X-Men 161 got a 9.8. So I could probably stop chasing this one. This one's the origin of Magneto. Magneto's had some different origin stories, or I should say, told in different books. The weird one for me is I see ink streaks on the cover, and I think that CGC looks at ink streaking as manufacturing, but it almost looks like as it was rolling through the printer. The ink just smeared right across Baron Strucker's face there. But still, it got the 9.8. They looked at it as manufacturing. Fine. I'll take it. Might not be the most presentable copy because if you do inspect it and hold it up close, you'll see the streaks in there. But not CGC's fault, not my fault, probably some printer's fault from way back, but I'll take it. X-Men 161 getting the 9.8. Next is Uncanny X-Men 152. This was another book that I sent 2 copies in, and I'll tell you what my estimates were on both. One I thought was a 9.8. The other one I thought was a 9.6. Ron and I talked about the 9.8. He thought it was a 9.8 as well, but might need just a little bit of a touch just to ensure it. And so we worked on that. And again, great communication. You want that with your presser. Ron reached out to me right away and asked me what I wanted to do with the book, which was just awesome. I love it. 9.6 on the other one. He noted light wear at spine corners seen from rear. 9.6 plus estimate on that. So I don't know which one is which, so I'll just show you both of them. This is X-Men 152 from 1981, and it got a 9.8 white pages. So let's see if this was more or less the book that I thought was a 9.8. This one might be the 9.6. I can see a little bit of the rounding, but let's take a look at the other one just to see. And this should be it back to back. Yep, X-Men 152. Got a 9.8. All right, so I just want to inspect the corner real quick so I can see the difference. I think... so close. I was going to say I think this is the 9.8 that I sent in, but I don't remember. But this is back Emma Frost with the Hellfire Club, that whole run, the X-Men in the 130s dealing with the Dark Phoenix saga and the Hellfire Club. Just brilliant Chris Claremont storytelling here. And so I have now 2 copies of X-Men 152 getting a 9.8. And we'll keep rolling with Uncanny X-Men. This is 150 from 1981. An anniversary issue, if you will, double-sized. It doesn't seem like collectors put a premium on any issues that are double-sized. You buy them at the time, and they're not 75 cents. They're $1, $1.25, or $1.50. But X-Men 150, I thought was a 9.6. Palm Beach did not have any greater notes on this. He said 9.8 probable, and it got a 9.8. Well done. Fantastic. Great job all around. And I say that just because I have expectations when I have a book like this in high grade that just needs a little bit of professional, tender, loving care, as I know Palm Beach Presser provides on my books. And I expect CGC to respond, and it just looks gorgeous. Moving it back and forth to get the reflection of the light on the book, and it's flawless. Really, really nice job. Clean, well-centered, just no issues on the back. Just a really, really nice, presentable 9.8 white pages on X-Men 150. And eventually I'm going to have this massive run of X-Men 9.8s. Would love to display them somehow, or just have them available together. And just getting a few of these rated at a time really helps kind of round out my collection, doing it like that. And I've had commentary like these X-Men books are super easy, they're super cheap, things like that, but I love it. These are the books that I grew up on, and it benefits me that they're available and easy to find. That's what makes it fun. Sometimes it's finding that rare book. Sometimes it's finding the book that's easy to find and maybe doing something like getting them graded in a 9.8, getting them signed by a favorite creator. You can find different ways to just fall in love with your comics in a different way, and I've been doing that with this great X-Men run. All right, let's move on to Frankenstein number 15, or Monster of Frankenstein. This is from 1975, so I just got the cutoff for this being a modern book. This one I had assessed as a 9.0. Palm Beach Presser had some notes on this one. Light corner softness, slight foxing, development in the yellow areas of back cover. So that's where he noticed some light foxing occurring on the back. And then he also said that it was miswrapped and misstapled. My bad on the misstapling. When I see the staples all over the place, I just kind of like look away. I don't even want to see it or think about what a presser has to do when the staples are on the top or on the back or misaligned. I remember having to deal with that when I was trying to press my own books, and I didn't even bother because I was just sure that I was going to press the staple all the way through the book. But he did say that it could be a 9.4, 9.4 minus on this one. So let's see. Monster of Frankenstein, number 15 from 1975, and it got a 9.4. So I think that's fair. This was just a really rough miswrap. I mean, it's crazy. The fact that it got a 9.4 is probably a miracle. So you could just see there the miswrapping that occurred and the staple placement just being all over the place. I'm sure Ron did like a Skeletor, like when he saw this book and cursed me, but kind of had to set it in and see what would happen. So to go from a 9 to a 9.4, and then he estimated the 9.4, so he was spot on there. So thank you, Ron. Thanks for your patience on that one and your accuracy on the grade. Around the same time, Werewolf by Night, number 30, also from 1975, getting that modern tier cutoff. This I had assessed as an 8.5. So some of these Bronze Age horror books coming up a little bit under high grade, and then what ends up happening is you're less likely to get the full jump, the full bump from the estimated grade to a 9.8. But why do I send these in? Because they still have value in that 9.2 to 9.6 range. So I'm hoping that they at least get the bump into the 9s. This one had some notes on it as well. Texture change, crease at the top left corner, faint color break, crease line at the bottom edge at right corner. This could result in a deduction to as low as an 8.5 with a strict grader, but I think as high as a 9.2 is possible. And he said 9.2 minus. So it has the chance of getting in the 9s, but let's see. Werewolf by Night, number 30, got all the way up to 9.4. There's really not much more I could ask for on this book with all of the defects that Ron noted. To get a 9.4 on this one was really nice. Super white, clean back cover. It did get the white pages designation. I love this with the skull in the background. One of my favorite Werewolf by Night covers from the mid-70s. Of course, Gil Kane on cover, doing so many great covers. And huge to get the jump up from my assessed 8.5 all the way up to a 9.4. So thank you, Palm Beach, for your help with that one. Okay, here's another one. This is funny. This was, speaking of my mobile app, I think this was the first value pick, or it was like my test case where I was kind of building out the interface and I needed some book that I was considering a value pick at the time. I know some folks picked up on this and was like, I know you're getting this at Mile High Comics. It was like, you're not really keeping any secrets here. So this was like the first book, if you go back through my page on Instagram, the Comic Tricks page, you'll see I think this was the first value pick that I posted. Flaming Carrot, number 27 from 1991. This is from Dark Horse Comics. I love this one because it's a Todd McFarlane cover featuring the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, yes, I mean, this is how crazy some of these independently owned, creator-owned comics and stories were. It's like, yeah, it's Flaming Carrot, but let's throw Ninja Turtles and get Todd McFarlane to do the art on it. And this was a value pick because I was able to find it on the cheap, and it had a lot of upside. I had gotten one graded previously, and it came back a 9.6. And I sent it to my comic shop on consignment, and it sold, and it did pretty well. And I was very happily surprised. So that's where you're getting some value in the 9.4, 9.6 grades as well. And this one I had estimated a 9.4. Palm Beach noted light wear at top spine corner, and he said 9.8 minus on this. Flaming Carrot, number 27, and it did. It got a 9.8. So, all right. I forgot this was in the submission, but it's actually kind of nice that I'm talking about the mobile app, and this was the first book that I put out there. Benjaz, I remember you and I had a quick conversation about this, and you said, yep, I know exactly where you got this, and you went and got a copy yourself, so hopefully yours is in high grade as well. But yeah, this was just a very low barrier to entry, very available, and very cool Todd McFarlane book. Probably one that I'll hold on to in case he does go back to CGC. I don't know why he would, since I think he slept there for a week or something, signing all the books. But a nice book that maybe somewhere down the road I would get his signature. I think some, let's just call them regulars. These are books that I have sent in several times, kind of staples of my online purchasing habits and my CGC submission habits, and it is Transformers #2, trying desperately to get the first single-digit issues of Transformers all in a 9.8. #1's going to be tough, but surprisingly you can get 2 for really not very much, although I had estimated this as a 9.0, and Ron noted slight color loss at the top spine corner on the back. 9.8, 9.6 on this copy of Transformers #2, and it got a 9.8. Okay, really nicely done there. So I can check this one off my list, but it's a book that I find regularly online, and man, if I had assessed this as a 9, thank you, Palm Beach, for your work on this. It looks gorgeous. It does not look like a 9 anymore, that's for sure. So 9.8 white pages on Transformers #2. I'm really, really happy just to be happy again, and happy to see books from my childhood getting the high grade, the high marks. Just tremendous. Really great all around. Speaking of really great all around, Seduction of the Innocent 3D #1. We're almost in the season. We're about a month away. I do not recommend buying this book next month because it'll probably be out at a premium. I love picking this book up year-round. It is one of my all-time favorite Dave Stevens covers, probably right up there with Planet Comics. I think personally this one I like more, but since it is seasonal, if you will, I think Planet Comics is really great year-round. But this one, Ron and I talk about this one a lot. It has certain spine-splitting elements to this book, and he always does make note of that just to be on the safe side, and I always give a harsher grade just because I never know when CGC is going to be extra critical or change their mind on a book, so I estimated a 9.2 on this. He noted light wear at spine corners with fibers and gave a 9.6 plus estimate to Seduction of the Innocent 3D #1, and it got a 9.8. Amazing. I love this book. I love getting 9.8s on the book as well. But Dave Stevens, amazing artist, fell in love with him when I first put my eyes on some of his artwork. And like I said, this is just one of my all-time favorite comics, and right up there in at least the top 2 of my favorite Dave Stevens covers. So thank you, Palm Beach, for your notes on that one and working with me on that one on several copies. Getting 9.8s, I think, on all of them. So really appreciate your work there. Next is Marvel Premiere #47. This is from 1979. This is the first appearance of Scott Lang becoming Ant-Man. Scott Lang appeared in Avengers, but this is the book where he became Ant-Man. When Ant-Man was first announced in the MCU and was going to be in live action, this book caught some heat, and when I think there was speculation on the first Ant-Man movie, I researched trying to find it and found this on Atomic Avenue, and I think, well, I have my notes here. It was kind of a book that I just kind of wanted to have, and so I picked it up and graded it as a 7.0, and this was quite early on when I got back into comic collecting, and I was really excited about this book, but 7.0, I just kept it in a Mylar, looked great, and then I went through and I reassessed some of the values and looking at like the low 9s if I were to get it pressed and graded, and when I looked at the book again, I thought it had a lot of potential. Palm Beach had some notes. He had some things to say about this one. Light spine wear, slight rounding of corners, light wear at the bottom edge, light cover wear, slight color wear. And he estimated a 9.4 tilde. So I thought this was a good time to send it in. A lot of hype has come down on live action and MCU and all of that. I think people are trying to rekindle some of those feelings with a lot of Doctor Doom, Dazzler, even Chris Evans coming back as Steve Rogers in the movies, or is he coming back as Nomad? I get it. It's exciting. We want to do this all over again, but these original books that got hyped have come down in value, and so I thought it was a lower risk to send this in. For some reason, I thought this was just a better book than it was when I first bought it. So this is a better time, I think, to send it in with that lower risk. And let's see, 7.0 is what I had estimated on Marvel Premiere 47, and it got a bump all the way to 9.2. So I think that's very fair, just under the 9.4 estimate that Palm Beach gave it. So I'll have to check the grader notes on this, but really nice copy, really like it. It's part of like the collection of, I would say, MCU books if you wanted to collect kind of like the main keys of each of the main characters, you know, other than the first like the Golden Age appearance of Captain America, but like the Scott Lang Ant-Man, it's now very affordable, kind of easy to find, but still nice and valuable in a 9.2. Happy with this one too, up from where I bought it, because I think I bought it as a fine copy or a VF minus copy on Atomic Avenue. So I think for the price I paid and all of that, that ended up working out. Okay, next one is Batman 291 from 1977. This one, I swear, I just got back in a different shipment, but love this one where we've got all of the prime Batman villains rogues gallery here, and they're all kind of competing to say who finally got rid of Batman. This from 1977, I had assessed it as an 8.5. Palm Beach notes light spine corner wear with color loss, small spine color breaks at bottom staple, 9.4 plus. So even at a 9.4 plus, this would be a really, really nice grade. But let's see what CGC said. Batman 291 from 1977. Ron, right again, 9.4 white pages on this. And I can see the bottom corner on the left here having that issue right there on the bottom left. But love this one, and it is a collectible cover. Jim Aparo on cover art here. So in a 9.4, it does have some nice value. All right, last one in this smaller pack, and then we'll go back to two other slabs in the larger portion. But this one, Astonishing Tales number 33 from 1976. These Astonishing Tales issues featured Deathlock. Deathlock's been kind of an underground popular character. He doesn't show up a lot in mainstream. He's not like part of the Avengers or X-Men or anything like that. But when he shows up, he has such a cool character design. It always reminds me of kind of the Iron Maiden character. So he's got a little bit of like a zombie look, cyborg look. Really interesting design here for Deathlock. Astonishing Tales number 33, and Deathlock fans do collect these books, and they are collectible. I picked it up at auction. When I did, I assessed it as a 9.2. Palm Beach noted pretty good wear at the bottom spine corner with fibers and tiny tear seen from the back, light spine wear on back, 9.4 tilde. And surprise, it got a 9.8 white pages. Maybe that little issue on the back was overlooked. Boy, I don't know. It looks clean. The back, really nice looking. And I love the CGC label notes. It's just Deathlock. Thank you for that explanation. Rich Buckler and Klaus Janson on the cover art there. So this was a really nice gem, nice pickup there at auction. Didn't pay much for it, I don't think. So to get this one up all the way to a 9.8, tremendous. All right, two left to go. What I'm going to do is show the one that, this was the line item that I got charged extra for. And so I'm pretty sure I know what the grade is, but we'll take a look and I'll hold it up in suspense for a little while. And it is another childhood book, not my childhood copy. I didn't have this one. I think I started reading at issue 5 and then just carried on from there. And again, it's one of the two series that got me interested in comics when I was a kid. Transformers was one and G.I. Joe was the other. And this is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 1 from 1982. I was on the hunt for this. I remember getting outbid so many times at auction and saw this and thought it was just a tremendous copy with a lot of potential. And I'll tell you what I thought it was at the time. I thought it was a 9.4. I remember vividly grading it on my desk, and I had to kind of sit back and look at it and go, yeah, I can see some defects that could be pressed. And it's a book, too, that I would have been scared to press it. I don't think I would have tried to press this myself. I I remember sweating looking at it, going, yeah, it looks great. I'm gonna give it a 9.4 to be ultra conservative, but I think it just looks so nice. And Palm Beach noted light wear at spine corners seen from rear, 9.6/9.8. And I'm hoping with the additional charge that this is going to be a 9.8. And there it is, officially 9.8 white pages on G.I. Joe #1. This cover has been homaged. It's just a super cool representation of the cartoons and the toys and everything about it. G.I. Joe #1, amazing. Now I have to have Transformers #1 to go with it. Just outstanding. So a little bit of a spoiler alert there for myself, because I knew that one was coming. This one I remembered submitting as part of this submission, trying to send Palm Beach Presser some more interesting books in the submission, trying not to overload either of us with, books that are very important to me, maybe just putting in 3 or 4 at a time now. This one I have been on the hunt for to complete my Todd McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man run. And I had the good fortune of picking up 2 copies of this book at auction, and I think both were in high grade, and decided to send the first one in through the process. And it is Amazing Spider-Man 316 from 1989. And for those of you that think 315 is the first appearance of Venom on the cover, this is the first appearance of Venom on the cover. Floating heads, severed heads do not count as a first. It must be a full body, full membered description, depiction. It has to be the full artwork of the character. Like, it can't just be a hand or a foot or a floating head. It has to be the full character. And there he is. Again, a great cover that's been homaged. Todd McFarlane. Not much more to say about this, but this was when Venom came back. So he had the run from 298 spilling into 300, and then kind of disappeared. And Venom became popular. We needed more Venom. And then he came back with teaser in 315, and then back here 316, ready to get after Peter Parker. And then I think he showed up quite a bit after that. I remember even into the 330s, Venom was still like on the cover, and then especially as we got into 361 with Carnage, the symbiotes had really taken over at this point. So this was like his first comeback. ASM 316, I had assessed it as a 9.4. My fingers are crossed because Palm Beach Presser gave no greater notes on this. He said 9.8 probable. Let's see now what CGC said. ASM 316. Yes. Oh, I'm back. Venom's back. ASM 316, getting the 9.8. I am thrilled, super happy. Thank you, Palm Beach Presser, for your great work. I can't thank you enough for your collaboration in helping me with my comic book collection, and just really appreciate it. I appreciate you all with your patience, waiting for me to put out some additional content. Would love for you to check out my Instagram page, and I'll talk more about the app, which hopefully will help you with your comic book collecting. And just, it's really there to help you make some data-driven choices to find great books at an affordable price that have a lot of upside. But I'll talk more about it as I get closer to more of a production rollout on both Android and iOS, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, happy collecting, and see you next time.